In the global economy of 1992, the Philippines wasn't just a nation recovering from the Marcos dictatorship, it was a battlefield. This was the 12th largest soft drink market on earth. A multi-billion-dollar prize where allegiances were bought for the price of a bottle. But it was a lopsided war. Coca-Cola held the high ground, controlling nearly 75% of the market. Pepsi was the desperate underdog, holding barely 17%. To close that gap, they didn't need a better recipe. They needed a miracle. The strategy was simple but aggressive. Number fever. A lottery ticket in every bottle cap. The prizes ranged from a few pesos to the jackpot, 1 million pesos. In the United States, that was about $40,000. But in the tin-roofed shacks of Manila, where the average daily wage was $4, 1 million pesos wasn't just a prize. It was an exit strategy. It was a new house, a college education, a future. To manage the risk, Pepsi hired a Mexican consulting firm to pre-select the winning numbers. The mechanics were precise. The Department of Trade and Industry approved the rules. Under every cap, there was a 3-digit number. But the number alone wasn't enough. To be a valid winner, the cap also needed a specific 7-character alphanumeric security code. This code was the failsafe, the lock on the vault, and it was about to be broken. The roadmap to disaster was written 5,000 miles away in Mexico. Pepsi hired a specialized consulting firm, DG Consultores, to handle the randomization. Their job was to create a master list, a digital vault of winning numbers paired with unique security codes. The logic was binary and absolute. If the number on the cap matched the list, you were rich. If it didn't, you were just thirsty. It was a perfect system. Until humans got involved. Back in Manila, the campaign wasn't just working, it was a phenomenon. In weeks, Pepsi's market share surged by nearly 40%. Factories were running 20 hours a day. The executives were looking at the best quarter in the company's history. Blinded by the numbers, they made a fatal decision. They didn't want the party to end. They ordered an extension of the promotion for 5 more weeks. Same rules, same prizes, but they were playing with a loaded gun. To feed the extension, the bottling plants needed new caps. The computer algorithm was run again to seed the new prizes. It selected the number 349, but there was a ghost in the machine. In the original batch, 349 was a non-winning number, a loser. The instructions to the printers were conflicted. The result? The machines didn't print 2 winning caps. They printed 800,000 of them. 800,000 promises of a better life, stamped in metal, sealing bottles of sugar water. May 25th, 1992. The 6 p.m. news on Channel 2. This was the moment the entire country held its breath. In the shanty towns, in the sari-sari stores, and in the mansions, eyes were glued to the screen. The winning number for the next day was announced. 349. In an instant, the signal traveled from the broadcast tower to millions of homes and triggered a bomb. The joy lasted exactly as long as it took to do the math. The plan called for 2 winners, maybe a dozen. But the glitch had printed 800,000 winning caps, each one worth 1 million pesos. The liability wasn't just over budget, it was apocalyptic. 800 billion pesos, 32 billion US dollars. Pepsi didn't just owe the winners a prize, they owed them an amount larger than the gross domestic product of half the countries on Earth. 3 a.m., the war room. The executives had two choices, bankruptcy or denial. They chose denial. First, they tried to scrub history. They contacted the newspapers and attempted to change the winning number to 134. A desperate sleight of hand, but the caps were already out there. The people knew. When that failed, they retreated to the fine print. The security code defense. They would honor the number 349, but only if it had the code L-2560-FQ. For everyone else, the ticket was worthless. The company's solution was a calculation, not a consolation. They offered a goodwill gesture, 500 pesos, 18 US dollars. In exchange for the winning cap, you gave up your claim to the million. For the executives, it was a balance sheet correction. For the winners, it was a slap in the face. They didn't want $18. They wanted the future they were promised. And when the poor are denied hope, they organize. The Coalition 349 was born. The rage didn't stay on the sidewalks. It targeted the supply chain. Delivery trucks, once symbols of refreshment, became moving targets. Over 30 trucks were firebombed, overturned, or destroyed. The streets of Manila began to look less like a marketplace and more like a war zone. Executives in Makati started wearing bulletproof vests. The Cola War was no longer a metaphor. Then the inevitable happened. An improvised grenade thrown at a delivery truck missed its mark. It bounced off the metal hull and detonated in a crowd. It killed a schoolteacher. It killed a 5-year-old girl. By the end of the riots, 5 people were dead. Dozens were wounded. The number fever was no longer a marketing case study. It was a crime scene. The firebombs were eventually extinguished, but the war wasn't over. It just moved to a colder battlefield, the Philippine court system. Pepsi faced thousands of lawsuits, fraud, breach of contract, damages. The company's defense was a single line of text printed on a piece of paper, the master list. They argued that the number 349 was meaningless without the corresponding security code, L-2560-FQ. This code became their shield, a technicality strong enough to withstand an army of angry millionaires. The legal battle dragged on for nearly 15 years, but in the end, it was decided by a Latin phrase, stare decisis. It means to stand by things decided. The Supreme Court ruled that because the promotion rules were approved by the government, the security code was binding. Once the first case was decided in Pepsi's favor, it became the law of the land. It didn't matter if you had a different lawyer or a sadder story. The first domino had fallen, and it took every other claim down with it. Pepsi survived the fever. They paid the fines, fought the cases, and eventually regained their market share. Today, number fever is just a chapter in marketing textbooks, a cautionary tale about data integrity. But on the streets of Manila, the number 349 didn't just vanish. It entered the language. To be 349'd became slang for being scammed, for being promised a miracle and getting nothing but a bottle cap.